All right. Welcome to the School of Podcasting and Podpage's first. You're the very first, my friend. Expert Talk. Now,
Whoa.
I should take that back. I'm like, obviously,
No. You can keep it.
when Brendan Mulligan is talking, he's an expert. He's the founder of Podpage. But when Brendan threw the idea, he said, hey, we should have some experts come in and talk because everybody makes these cool toys. And I was like, well, I heard you on Podbiz. And not only did you make me want to go check out Flightcast, I was like, this guy's like just got a huge amount of experience. In fact, let me read you the best intro that AI can generate.
Okay.
Rox Codes is the CEO and co-founder of Flightcast, a video-first podcast hosting platform built with Steven Bartlett. And if you're like, who's that guy? That's the Diary of a CEO guy. For nearly a decade, he's created tools that help major content creators grow, optimize, and distribute their work. He previously founded thumbnailtest.com, which was acquired, and has built software for creators, including some guy named Mr. Beast. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Basically, bottom line is you are passionate about making creator technology smarter, simpler, and more powerful. So everyone, snap, clap, whatever you do. The one and only Rox Codes. Thanks for coming, buddy. We appreciate this.
Happy to join the one and only Dave Jackson.
There you go.
Yeah, good job, AI.
That was it. I was like, well, you're one of those people that like you've had quite a bit, of history under your belt for being, you're a youngin'. Of course, everybody's young compared to me. But anyway, I was like, this guy's been doing a lot in the few years he's been on the planet. And like I said, I was like, I wonder if we could get him on to do a demo of Flightcast because it sounds too good to be true. And now with the whole Apple HLS, it still sounds like everything is in one dashboard instead of doing this and checking that and all that other stuff. And I was like, well, I got to see this to believe it. So with that, if you could give us just a quick demo of Flightcast, that would be amazing.
Happy to. And thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate all that. Let me pull up. We'll go for this tab, and hopefully it's the right tab. This is Flightcast. Nope, wrong tab. This is Flightcast. They're both Flightcast. So really quickly, we'll be looking at the Bankless show. Shout out Bankless. These guys are great. And they let me use their account for demos. So Flightcast is a video-first podcast hosting platform. The idea was very simple. One upload, one dashboard. So it should be as trivial as I upload one episode to Flightcast and it goes everywhere. So that's video to YouTube, video to Spotify, video to Apple, video to RSS now, and audio everywhere else. And then get all my analytics back into one dashboard. So I'll actually show you something a little new. You're going to get an early view into this. This is what our new publishing flow looks like. And I'll zoom in for people with glasses. So you just drop your video in, drop in a thumbnail, drop in a cover art, drop in a date for whenever you want to schedule it. And then title, description, chapters, and metadata. So all the extra season numbers and everything. And then you just hit save, schedule, and it goes live to YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want it to, or wherever you don't want it to. And if this seems very simple, it's because you've actually hidden every ounce of customization behind these little customized buttons. Nice. So if you want to do a custom audio edit, that is a different mastered version of the audio, you can do that. Just click custom audio and then drop in an MP3 file here. If you want the episode to go out at a different time on each platform, a lot of people have it go live at 8 a.m. on YouTube, but 6 a.m. on Spotify and audio because they want people in their car to be able to listen to it on their commute that morning, but not necessarily on YouTube. And same for titles. You can do a title for the video versus a title for the audio / RSS. You can even do different descriptions if you want to for each different platform for like the audio versus the video. It'll generate descriptions for you based on your previous descriptions. It can generate titles for you based on your previous titles. So it'll always sound like you. It can generate chapters for you based on your previous chapters. It'll put the chapters into your description. We got this little placeholder guy, so you can just move this around. And that'll make sure that the chapters get put in the correct format for each platform. So like for YouTube, they want no parentheses. For Spotify, you have to have parentheses around them. That all just gets magicked away. It just gets handled. It all just gets published where you think, and as it should. And then you can customize each platform on the right here by just saying, oh, on Spotify, like I actually only want it to be audio as opposed to video. Or on YouTube, I want it to go to various different playlists. This is a test account, so I don't have too much connected here.
Right.
But that is the most fundamental feature of Flightcast, is get it everywhere on a screen that looks very simple, but has hidden beneath it all of the ability to customize everything however you would want and do all the different versions of it. You can even upload different versions of the file to YouTube and Spotify. So if you want to say the word subscribe in one edit and the word follow in another edit, you can drop different versions of the video in. But if you don't want to do any of that, you can just drop episode, thumbnail, cover art, pick a day, generate, hit publish, and it'll just go. And then once you've published everywhere, we can get into the analytics from everywhere. So we've got streams from Spotify, views from YouTube, listens from RSS, aka downloads. And I add those all up into plays because I didn't know what else to call it. And then we've got all of those stats day by day. We've got new versus returning, followers gained, total uniques across every platform, whether or not it's your new stuff or your old stuff getting you views. Each different episode that popped off. We've got a giant spreadsheet because everybody kept making spreadsheets. So I made you a spreadsheet that you can just export. We got breakdown by platform. We got breakdown by country, breakdown by state, city, and percentages or direct amounts, kind of whatever you want there. Breakdown of every website, all the way down to some more advanced stuff like audience overlaps. I'll zoom in a couple times for this one. This will show you like how many people that listen to episode A also listen to episode B. So you can start to see if your returning audience is truly like the same people, or if you talk about business and then you talk about health, are the same guys showing up, or do you have sub audiences within your main audience? And if that kind of stuff sounds interesting to you, well, you can dig in even farther into that with our AI chat that we have, where you can just say, I don't know, rank all my episodes on YouTube in the past 6 months based on views in the first 24 hours. And it's basically just an open box for you to ask any questions. Very good if you have like non-technical people on your team, or you're on a call with a sponsor and they ask you for some really obscure number, like, hey, what's your 100-day episode average, or something else that nobody in their right mind would ever know offhand, and no dashboard's going to make easy enough. So we put that in there for you. I'll let that churn, and we'll jump over to clips really quick. Every time you upload an episode to Flightcast, it'll make clips of that episode and then start uploading those clips to a shadow YouTube channel that we basically use for testing. So it's kind of like A/B testing clips all the time, forever. And for example, on this Bankless one, they've got clips this week. The best one's got about just under 1,000 views. But if I swap to 30 days, the best one's got maybe 2,000 views, like 18 likes. And that's, completely generated, no effort. So then you can dig in on this, see what was I talking about. You can download this episode or this video and then put that on TikTok and Instagram if you want to. Or you can just take this moment in the transcript and say, okay, I'm going to send that to my editor, or I'm going to take this and I'm going to re-edit this short to be higher quality and then upload that on my main channel, because all of this has happened on a test channel. But you'll be quite surprised at how many views even come from just the test channels. But the idea here is to try and find what works, try and understand, what content is doing well, what's not, and what are the best 30 seconds of my episode, instead of just guessing. We just upload every 30 seconds. Eventually, by process of elimination, you figure out which ones are the best one, or I guess by process of algorithm. There's a ton of other stuff that it does. We have full support for ads and dynamic ads. It's not as interesting to poke through, but it handles, geo-targeting and programmatic and your dynamic and different kinds of ad slots, and everything that you would ever want out of an ad system. It's good enough for the diary of a CEO. That's usually what I say. And we can hop back, see if the AI is done yet. Nope, he's still hanging. So we'll let that guy churn. But that's the top to bottom. Hit me.
I got a quick question about the test account that you mentioned here that is going to, is that something like every creator would then set up their own test account to blast these two, or is that something that you guys are doing?
So they create the test account when you set up. It takes all of 30 seconds to make a blank YouTube channel. So we have you make it. We give you a little bit of guidance on how to make it. There's like a 10-second onboarding for that. And then once it's made, we generally recommend you start with 1 clip a day to kind of like warm up the channel. And then eventually, like after a week or two, you can bump it to 2. After a week or two, you bump it to 3. After a week or two, you bump it to 4. I wouldn't go past 4. 4 is a lot. And yeah, then it's just this sort of always on experimentation in the backgroround.
We have a great question from Harry Duran. He wants to know, when do you sleep?
Hi, Harry. Miss you, buddy.
That's
Well,
funny.
uh,
He did down a
I
Red Bull before we started.
yeah, I'm still downing a Red Bull,
Yeah.
but this isn't sponsored, so this is a
Yeah.
mystery energy drink if anybody asks. I don't. I don't. No, I sleep exactly 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then I shower, go to the gym, work for about 12 hours, hang out with my girlfriend for 2 hours, and then do it all again.
There you go. I know in Apple and Spotify they have completion percentage. Is there some way that you've pulled that into the dashboard?
Yep. Great question. Let's pop into actually we'll probably have to go to an older one. Analytics. So for these guys, you'll probably be able to see YouTube. Yeah, so we have YouTube retention in there. And then in an upcoming release, Spotify and Apple make their way into this graph. I have some early designs of that I can't show you, but the retention's about to get a massive, super sick upgrade. But yes, we have all these numbers. We have like watch time, listen time, averages on all of those. But also this retention for analysis.
Do you have a favorite stat? Like when you go to the dashboard, what's the first thing I know it's like trying to pick one of your kids, but do you have
which of my kids is my favorite? Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, such a reasonable question. I mean, okay, the real answer is it's always views, no matter what. The truest, which like sounds like a cop out because it is by many considered to be like the lagging indicator, right? It's like, oh yeah, well I got the views because of the other stats, surely, and kind of yes, but kind of no. At the end of the day, the episode that got the most views is the episode that's most successful, and views is the biggest metric of success. And I guess views as opposed to downloads, I'm looking at YouTube views because I'm not sure if I'll be able to find one in here, but I might. There's probably they had a recent episode. Yeah, I think it was this one. So we do. Are you familiar with like the 1 of 10 ranking on YouTube?
I've heard of it, but if you want to explain it for those who aren't, that'd be great.
So YouTube basically will rank your relative performance of an episode. So it's like, hey, your episode's been out for 2 days. Usually after 2 days, you get like 1,000 views. Right now you're at 1,200 views. So this is like your third best episode recently within a 2-day period. Like in your first 2 days, this is a pretty good episode. It's not the best performance you've had in 2 days, but it's like the third best performance you've had in 2 days relative to your last 10 uploads or so. Anything outside of your last 10 is considered kind of old. And so we take that and we do it per platform. So usually, this is actually very interesting because this ended up being backwards, but this outperformed on Spotify for these guys. This episode performed pretty good on YouTube. It was a 7 out of 20. We do it out of 20. I like a little bit of a longer reference point,
Sure.
and then a 5 out of 20 on Apple. So it's been very interesting how differently things will perform on different platforms. But usually you will see YouTube is like a 5 or a 3, but Apple and Spotify will still be like a 10 because they don't really go viral, right? So at the end of the day, I'm focusing on all the YouTube stats. Click-through rate is great to look at, but it is a subset of many different things. Average view duration is a great thing to look at because it's telling you if people are actually watching through.
Right.
But really, like I would analyze this retention graph. I would spend most of my time here because this is not one single number. This is like, hey, what happened here? Did I have an ad here? Why is there this giant drop off? Like, why did I lose 5% of people? Now they skipped clearly, so there's probably some
Right.
ad there. But then, okay, whatever this chapter title was, I should write that down because people skipped to this chapter, right? Because why is this at 23, but right before it's at 18? That means people skipped over here. So that's usually the thing that I'm analyzing the most to try and improve. And I'm not giving you a good answer to one stat, but
No,
I also really
sorry.
like 30-second retention. I consider that like intro success. So at 30 seconds, how many people were still there? And if you're going up in that percentage over time in general, like if your episodes slowly get a higher 30-second retention, the whole of your YouTube journey will improve massively if you get really good at making intros. So I've kind of like benchmarked that for myself as like a intro quality metric that I measure.
Well, I always hear the 3 big things are how you start, and obviously your title and your thumbnail are the other really big things that, if you want to grow, it's time to come up with a better thumbnail and come up with a better title and that whole 9 yards. So I'm assuming you have stats in here to see how my thumbnail's doing and how my
Yeah,
titles are
yeah.
doing.
So we got a bunch of different stuff. We got like I guess this episode like just came out, so they don't have all of their analytics yet. But yes, usually we would show let me see if I can jump to maybe another show that would have one. Well, I probably can't show you Diary of a CEO. So, but yes, we have click-through rate in there and average view duration. I don't think it makes it into the screen because usually we do like the similar to the like latest episode performance thing that YouTube does. We keep
Right.
that for your latest episode. But I'm debating putting that in here permanently as like a constant sort of relative reference so that you know, oh, it's right here. There you go. Click-through rate 1.5%. Okay, I guess we did add that. So yeah, amount of impressions, click-through rate versus overall engagement on the episode. But it's like those are stats you don't get from like a Spotify or an Apple, right? Like the great thing about YouTube is that you can impact it. If a number is low, you can do something about that. On Apple and Spotify, that is much harder, right? You can learn YouTube. There's like strategy to YouTube.
Yeah.
There's not as much strategy to YouTube, to Spotify and Apple.
Yeah. Have you found, like, in terms of, obviously YouTube is king, but is there a certain type of show that does better on Spotify than other ones? Like, I know I had one show that, for whatever reason, just got a ton more downloads on Spotify than any other show that I do. And then most of mine are podcasts about podcasting, so they're super niche. But even this one was still about podcasting. For some reason, it just got a whole more views. So is there an audience, like, we all like to say, well, in the early days of TikTok, it was all young people, and in the early days of Pinterest, it was more female. Is there a type of audience that likes Spotify more than others that you see?
Demographically, I don't know. In terms of how they engage, Spotify and Apple are almost closer to Patreon than to YouTube, in my opinion. Because on Spotify and Apple, listeners come back week after week in a way that they don't on YouTube. YouTube is not a podcast platform. YouTube is not a go back to the places that you already love platform. YouTube is a click and watch platform, right? It is closer to, it is more in the direction of like a TikTok or an Instagram, but with a lot more intentionality. So like a subscriber is almost meaningless on YouTube and extremely meaningful on Spotify and Apple, because a subscriber or a follower on Spotify or Apple is probably coming back for every episode. So generally, in terms of what shows do well on Spotify and Apple, in my take, it's generally shows that are very consistent. But to be fair, a lot of growth on Spotify and Apple comes from YouTube. So you still have to be good at YouTube, because then it's sort of a funnel in a lot of ways from YouTube to these audio first platforms or these podcast first platforms, let's say. So there's a lot of strategy to be thought of there in terms of how you kind of convert the audience, but you don't even have to go on YouTube. Most things will trickle down. Just say to people, also we're on Spotify, and then somebody wants to listen to you in the car, they're not going to YouTube. Usually they're going to Spotify or they're going to Apple. So that also, relates more to like Spotify and Apple are primarily mobile device usage, right? So that inherently is different than YouTube, which is connected like TV or desktop much more often, but still heavy mobile for a lot of podcast platforms or podcast episodes. So yeah, it's all just different pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
But end of the day, I focus on YouTube because YouTube is the top of the funnel and it is the middle of the funnel. Spotify and Apple come a little bit later. But if you can get people to Spotify and Apple, that becomes a very, very valuable audience member because they will keep coming back.
Yeah. Do we want to check back on your AI answer?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Before we get to another. There we go.
Look at this. All right. So top 10 performers. Michael Saylor, Fix the Money, Fix the World, 89,000. Crushed it. Best performer, followed by $1 million. And this is just based on the first 24 hours. $1 million zero. AI is destroying every moat. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not too into crypto, these words will mean nothing to you. And to be candid, they mean nothing to me. But this is what we're looking at for 24 hours. So this is an example of something that's good to look at, because then you can start to say, okay, cool. Now categorize these, right? Put these into buckets. What did I say in those first 30 seconds, first 60 seconds? What did I, talk about in this episode that I don't usually talk about? What do you think made this an overperformer? Was there any interesting pattern in this Michael Saylor episode, or did it pop off immediately, which it clearly did because, this was first 24 hours. But getting to kind of dig in on those understandings is where you start to grow. So I'm working now more, as much as I love Here's a Giant AI chat, I've found that the problem with it is people don't know what questions to ask a lot of the time. So I started chatting with a lot of our like more strategic or very like deep creator customers on what those questions are that they're asking often, and then pre-baking those into the analytics page as just graphs, or like analyze this episode type UI or whatever else we can think of to try and make that a better flow, because we have all the data. We have everything from everywhere forever. So now it's just a question of what do we do with it? How do we want to analyze it? What is the best opportunity for growth? So to some extent, Flightcast is kind of meant to be a consultant, like a YouTube consultant in my head, or just like a growth consultant in general. So this is the start of that. The clips is the start of that a little bit. But ideally, there's so much data, you shouldn't have to know how to analyze it. It should just kind of do it for you.
Impressive. We've got a couple questions here about migrations. First one's from Stephanie. She says, so would I use Flightcast instead of our current media host or with our current media host? And I think because you have that, especially you have that way to do the custom audio, it sounds like this would replace your current media host. Is that typically
Correct.
what you think? Yeah.
Yeah. So we are a full podcast hosting platform, full RSS based and everything else based hosting platform, in addition to everything that we do. So yeah, you can migrate your podcast. We got a whole thing. We'll import your old data. We'll import all your episodes. We'll have you turn off the ads. It's pretty seamless. We just got out like a self-service version of it maybe 8 weeks ago. So
well, that's
now
what
you can just sign up.
yeah, that's what Harry's asking. He's like, okay, if I want to migrate from Captivate, if I'm using dynamic ad insertion there, what's the strategy there?
Yeah. So you copy. Well, first you have to turn off ads. I don't know if Captivate has a turn off ads button. So usually what that looks like is, unfortunately, you have to like delete the ads markers, which is very annoying. So usually the process then is first you import your RSS, then we import your ad slots. So ad slot imports, if you need, we have to like reach out to the company directly, but we've started to automate that for most platforms. So we have that, like if you're coming from SoundStack or if you're coming from Megaphone right now, we can pull ad slots, and Omni, but we're working on more. So you can reach out. I know I owe Harry that from a long time ago, but we just did the SoundStack one. So now it's a lot easier. So long story short, you come in, you plug in your RSS feed, you click pull my data, it pulls your data. You click pull my ad slots, it'll pull your ad slots. And then you go and remove your ads, and then we will like re-import the audios with the ads removed. It's a hard kind of chicken and egg thing, but that ended up being the best process. But if you need ad slots moved and it's a platform we don't support, just reach out to the support chat, and then we'll pop it up to the top of the roadmap and prioritize that so you can get your shows over, because we want more people on Flightcast.
There you go. And speaking of more people on Flightcast, how do you price this?
Starts at $50 a month for everything except for clips. And then if you want clips, it goes up to $100 or $250 a month, depending on how many clips you want and how many downloads you want. Other than clips and downloads, pretty much everything's in every plan. So the basic plan goes you up to 50,000 downloads a month. You get full 4K video, you get Apple HLS video, you get everything. There's no bandwidth charges. There's nothing really complicated. You'll be able to tell in your dashboard real quick where you're sitting. It's like 3 terabytes of storage, which is insane. Nobody's ever used it. It's a great limit. So feel free to not compress your files. It's fine. We'll do it. And just give us your original versions.
That's a great question, because I know some people are like, it's got to be 4K, and then other people, it's got to be 8K, and other people are 720, and like, what kind of formats are we outputting?
If you're asking for my recommendation,
well, let's do both. Yeah,
my recommendation is after 1080p. It's not necessary, but it's nice to have. Yeah. But at least hit 1080. 720 to 1080 is a massive jump. 1080 to 4K is nice. It's not needed. I think Mr. Beast still doesn't do 4K, or at least for a long time did not, because he was like, well, I don't think most people watch it that way. And I think it's almost like uncanny sometimes. Yeah. But a lot of people do 4K. Flightcast will ship it out So I just did it as a way to kind of respect the customer, where I was like, if you're going to put all the effort to do 4K, I'm going to make sure that 4K gets to where it's supposed to go. I'm not going to like downgrade that. So even for Apple Video, we do 4K. I believe we're the only ones doing that. But most phones aren't going to load it, right? Most people are not on an internet connection fast enough. But if you're sitting there at your house with really fast internet and you want to see it, and eventually I'm sure they'll put it on TVs and stuff. And for that day, I wanted to just be ready. So yeah, just do at least 1080p and you're okay. But if you can't pull 4K, might as well. Like iPhones can do 4K, So sometimes it's nice to watch people laugh in HD.
There you go. I'll turn your screen back on. Anything else you wanted to, dance through or
I think that's pretty much it.
It's very impressive. It's
Thank
like I just see it and go, oh, holy cow. And then it's $50 and I'm like, I don't want to give any ideas, but I expected it to be higher than that. So
to be candid, I'm considering that plan not existing anymore. So if you're interested in it, I'd get in while it's still there. Because Flightcast was always meant to be a growth platform. Like it was built for Diary of a CEO, right? That was the mindset. And it was like, let's take that whole playbook and make it repeatable as much as we can. And then it very quickly became, let's try and become a consultant and everything. And I think at some stage, what does a consultant cost? What do all these things cost? Like we happen to be a hosting platform, right? I happen to do all of the things that a hosting platform does, but really in my heart, we're a growth platform. We're like an experimentation platform. And I'd rather get everybody to that $100 a month, but make it like the best $100 you spend than like, cut things out for the 50, which is why right now I'm just giving everything on the 50 except for clips because that just cost me. But
right.
Yeah, I'm working towards it. But my hope is it feels like the most, oh my God, worth it thing you ever buy by a mile. And if it doesn't feel that way, then you shouldn't. Because then like if you're looking at Flightcast and you're like, oh, that's pretty expensive at that 50, then it's probably too early for you to want a tool like that. If you don't have a lot of data or a lot of episodes, it's harder to use data to grow. It's harder to like be informed and analyze patterns and everything if you have 3 episodes, or if they're getting 10 views per, you can't really learn much from the 10 views other than like the retention graph. So yeah, it's for a very particular kind of like serious video podcaster is generally how I word it. Or at least like intermediate plus. But it's powerful. It's powerful. It is a jackhammer, but you don't always need a jackhammer.
Well, I know there are a lot of people right now that all they're hearing is like, oh, you got to be on video. You got to be on video. And so what would you say to the person? It's like, okay, I guess I have to be on video. What's the biggest, I guess, culture shock or difference in workflow when you move from audio only to video? What would be your advice to that person? I know it's like
hard to word it. Yeah. The main difference, and I think this is a thing that the industry at large kind of doesn't frame well, which has always been kind of interesting to me coming from like the YouTube side. Video isn't a file format. It is an algorithm. YouTube has an algorithm. Discovery and publishing were never 2 different things on YouTube. Discovery and publishing are never 2 different things on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts. They're all the same. And what's been crazy to me is realizing how much marketing exists in podcasting and how much of like how to grow your show. It's like there's no how to grow your YouTube channel that has any guidance other than making better videos people want to watch, get good at thumbnails, get good at titles. That's foundational to the content, right? The answer to how to grow on YouTube is get good, like that's it. That's the whole of the advice. And I think the main thing when you go from audio to video is you learn how to live in an algorithm world. And that's a completely different world to what you're used to. But you'll also find infinite opportunity on the other side of it. In equal terms, you will find as much frustration and struggle because you can't just publish. You have to get good at it. You have to get good at thumbnails. You have to get good at titles. You have to be a student of the game because there is a game to learn now. Whereas with audio, there almost isn't that much of a game. Everybody's kind of drawing at smaller straws of like, do these ads. There's some SEO optimization you can kind of do and this and that. And everything is, 10%, 20% gains or advertising within other podcast apps. And it's a lot of paid media and everything. Every YouTube advice is make a better thumbnail, make a better title, have a better video idea, make a better intro. You have about 4 things you control, maybe 5, edit the thing better, but that's the 5th, right? And if each of those take up equal amount of time, you're only spending 20% of your time on the edit and 80% of your time on everything else. That will be jarring. That will suck. You will realize how much time it actually takes to go into being good at YouTube. It's a lot of time. It is hundreds, it is thousands of hours. But what do you want? What's, to define success, we must define the goal. Is the goal growth? Is the goal more people? Is the goal the right people? But generally, I find that most people putting out content into this world would really enjoy if people heard it and if people saw it.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, video is, in my opinion, without a question, the absolute best place to be and the absolute most infinite opportunity, because it's hard to be a podcaster, but it's possible to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, we have another question here from, here we go. Do you expect 99% talking heads, or do you actually expect people to do some real video production?
If that's relative to the audio video conversation, talking heads, yeah, it's fine. Like, you don't need to be doing a whole lot. It's mostly, again, it could be Riverside, right? It doesn't really matter that much. I think it's better if it's in person, but talking heads are not bad content. Joe Rogan's talking heads,
Right.
Their CEO is talking heads, right? The visual of it all doesn't have to be 4K, 8 cameras, 1080p and 2 cameras and 3 cameras, or, a couple of iPhones is nearly as good, or 1 iPhone, and it's fine. If you're interviewing somebody interesting and you have some good takes and you can make some good clips, think about the content. Like the production quality is still 80% of the importance is just the audio of it all.
Yeah.
The video doesn't have to be gorgeously made. That doesn't really matter. The thumbnail does. The title does. The first 30 seconds has to be edited well, but it doesn't have to be so crazy interesting. But would I go out of my way to make a trailer if you have the time? Yeah. Would I go out of my way to like pick good moments for clips? Yeah. That's why I built a whole freaking feature about it, But no, you don't have to be putting in B-roll and doing all these other things. Most of the successful podcasts in the world don't, yeah.
Well, who's the target audience for Flightcast? Who's somebody, obviously everybody that wants to do video, but is there, you mentioned earlier about I think you called them the intermediate video producer. Like, what's the difference between the different levels of, there's basic video, maybe that's talking head. Is there intermediate? Like, what are the different stages?
Sure. Sorry. Yeah. I didn't mean that in like a production way. I meant more so in like how seriously you take it. So it's like, I know how podcasting works. I've been in podcasting. I know how to do video. I've been uploading to YouTube and everything. If you have an appreciation for the problem that Flightcast solves, if you look at Flightcast and you're like, that's more than just easier. That will also like help, right? God, I'd kill to see those analytics together. And if it speaks to you, you're the right person. And if it doesn't, then you probably aren't, because it's meant to help you grow a serious show into an even bigger serious show. So I think it's harder for hobbyists often because they might not want to dig into analytics as much. Those customizations, you don't have to do any of them. They're not necessary, but they're there. A lot of people are happy to just get one upload, move on with their day. And that's usually where we get the earlier podcasts, which is fine, but then they don't get as much out of it. You don't get all the crazy analytics. You don't get everything else that will push the needle for you. If you're getting 10 views a video, then you need to just go to thumbnail class. You got to go to title class, and that's not what Flightcast is. It's not meant to teach you the beginnings of how to be a YouTuber. It is meant to help you on your journey of growing to learn faster. But if you're not on a journey of growing, if you're not trying to become a student, if you're not trying to improve, then you'll kind of miss out on the value of a lot of the analytics and everything. But again, if it's just workflow, yeah, there's a lot of convenience. Yes, we're the only ones doing all the video, all the places in 4K and yada, yada. And that is enough of a reason for the $50 a month plan, which is why I keep it there. But most people are paying us much, much, much more because the value of those analytics, the value of the potential of the growth, the value of getting all those clips out the door, that AI analysis is so valuable. But, if you wouldn't see yourself talking to the AI, then the AI doesn't have much value for you. So you can kind of self-select a little bit there. But that's why when I say intermediate, I usually say like, thumbnail test was for intermediate YouTubers because A/B testing thumbnails is not really a thing a brand new show should do. Flightcast can be for beginners because you can just use it as a publishing platform and like a nice dashboard. And that's completely valid. And a lot of people do that. And they're very happy with it because it's really cool publishing flow. But the ideal state, like most people are on that like pro plan to legend plan tier. Those guys are digging into the data. They are printing out spreadsheets. They're sending it to sponsors. They're running dynamic ads. They're running programmatic ads. They're taking full advantage of everything that we do because we do a lot. So that's who I'm building for in my heart. I'm trying to help you grow an extra 5 or 10% this year. But if you're so early that 5 or 10% is 2 people, then it might not be as helpful. But workflows, not so bad.
There you go. Well, do you have a favorite place? So you just said, and understandably, like this is not the place to learn how to do thumbnails. Do you have, if somebody says, oh, well, I'm brand new, do you have a favorite place like, oh, this is the best place to learn titles and thumbnails?
Yes. I will give 3 recommendations. The number one is a YouTuber called Aprilyn Alter. She just sort her channel by popular and watch like the top 10. Every single video she makes is like months of research distilled down into like 30 minutes of a framework. And she's also kind of built for intermediate plus, but you will realize how much you don't know very quickly. And then if you need additional info, you'll find it out. But if you're like a bit familiar with how thumbnails and titles and stuff work, she'll quickly go from like, here's the foundation of it to here's how to do this at the next level. Like, here's how to grow. Here's the, it's not just colors, it's curiosity, right? And then she has another video that's like, give me 8 minutes, I'll make your titles 80% better or something. So I'd watch her thumbnail video, her intro video, her title video, and her ideation video at a minimum. I think ideation as a concept is something everybody could get a lot better at. I'd recommend looking at Patty Galloway. Patty Galloway is advanced, but his content is mostly breaking down how YouTubers got successful and what it is about their content. And I think generally think like a YouTuber is a really good mindset for most podcasters, because think like a podcaster doesn't get you as far in terms of growth, because there isn't much growth to be had thinking like a podcaster. That's mostly more about the quality of the episode and the quality of the interview, which is great and awesome. But for YouTube, 60 or 70% of it is just the first 30 seconds, the picture and the title. So you should be spending a lot of that time on that. And then my final recommendation would be there is a newsletter called Creator Hooks by Jake Thomas. And I would recommend that. He's very, very, very good at breaking down titles. And I would take those 3 things and I would study them like it's a religion. And I would truly just consume all of it. Because if you ever wondered how Mr. Beast got big, if you ever wonder how Ryan Trahan got big or how anybody else got big, they all studied. They tried and they studied and they learned and they improved. And there's infinite information out there. But those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, I just heard the story where I think it was for 1,000 days, Mr. Beast and a couple guys got together and just went almost frame by frame studying videos. And, people are like, well, how do I get to do that? We'll do that. Like that kind of insane attention to detail. And I think I just saw it on a recent interview where he was talking about he still tries to be like, make the next video better than the last one is really what it boils down to. So excellent.
Be obsessed.
Yeah. How long has Flightcast been around?
We've been working on it for 2 years. We made it public in October. So just closing in on 8 months, I think.
Nice. And I'm sure you love this question because you just showed us like a bazillion different things that are amazing. Is there anything coming down the pike that you're excited about?
Yeah. What I have shown you is a fraction of what I want to pull off, to be candid. I think coming into like mid-June, we'll have just finished what I consider the foundation of it. And then we can finally do the cool stuff, which will be basically a lot of crazy analytics.
Okay.
I have some takes that I think will be very game changing. Not to use too many buzzwords, but I think there's a lot that can be done on audio analytics that has yet to be done. So I'm going to be pursuing a lot of that, and just generally speaking, a lot more of that analytics, a lot more of that growth, a lot more of that experimentation, kind of like the second bastion of Flightcast after having completed all places video could ever go.
Yeah, well, and that list keeps getting bigger, so we'll see. But I think we're done at this point because I heard where Amazon, I guess, is adding. I need
iHeart's adding it, Amazon's adding it.
Yeah, so that's always fun.
But that'll all be over RSS, so that's kind of like a gimme. So at this point, none of us will have to do more work to support it. So
to do that, excellent. All right, gents. Any final questions here before we wrap things up? again, if you haven't checked out Flightcast, flightcast.com. I know you definitely, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing when we get done here. Holy cow. That your dashboard's just amazing. And
Thank you.
in terms of support, because I work in support, do you have, I'm assuming you have a knowledge base and videos and such?
There's tutorials in the app. There's a knowledge base. We have a support chat with an AI bot, and if the AI bot is bad, you can complain, and then it'll send you to a human. So there's about 4 tiers of ways to get information.
AI bats are never bad. Heck, are you kidding me? Oh, I love those things. Awesome. Well, I don't see any other questions coming in, so I really do deeply appreciate your time. And dude, it looks absolutely amazing. And I didn't
Thank you, man.
realize how much, because I thought you guys had kind of bolted on audio, and the fact that you can go in and change the audio. Did I see that right? You could change the audio based on the destination?
Yeah,
Or-
you can change everything based on the destination is what we're building up towards. But yeah, right now you can change the file per destination.
Like, I don't know that I would, but so I could have one, version A of audio go to Spotify, but version B go to Apple.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So if you say follow or please review
Ah,
us on Apple Podcasts, then you can say in the other one, please review us on Spotify. Please follow us on Spotify. Please subscribe on YouTube. Right? That's like a classic example of why you do it
yeah.
for that. But
Well,
a lot
that's
of people
true.
just really want a different audio edit than their video edit. That's the main
Yeah.
mindset.
Well, that's
there.
it. Because it's I know on YouTube, always drives me nuts that you can't replace the file, and you're like, there's that little mini train wreck about the 7-minute mark that you just want to take out, and you're like, I'm going to lose all my stats if I take it down, but you can fix it in the audio, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then Flightcast like kind of intelligently handles that. So if you put a new thing in Spotify, it will replace. If you put a new thing for Apple or RSS, it will replace. If you put a new thing for YouTube, it'll say like, "Hey, are you sure this is going to take the video down?" And we're going to just make a new video.
Yeah.
So it all is just kind of handled. So all the updating everywhere and all of that is intelligent.
Yeah, if somebody's really freaking out because they just can't live with the mistake, on a scale from 1 to 10, I always thought it was a 10 to take a video down and replace it with a new one. How big of a mistake is that? Because you lose all your stats, you lose all your views, and in theory, the audience that wanted to see it already has. So is that almost suicide, or maybe that's a bit harsh, but how big a mistake is
It's
that?
tough. Yeah, I would not unless you really have to. YouTube does have an internal editor. You can trim
Oh, that's
things
true.
out. So worst case, I'd cut because that won't hurt you. But yeah, otherwise I would not touch it with a 10-foot pole. Usually, I would say only in very rare occasions. Like only if you're like, oh no, I said something that will get me removed from my country. Would I look at taking it down? But sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you gotta eat dirt. But your best views are right at the start usually. So yeah, it matters. Momentum matters a lot on YouTube.
Excellent. All right. Rox Codes, CEO of Flightcast. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Dave Jackson, head of podcasting. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, man.
We'll see you. Take
Cheers.
care.